Let me start the recording. Jai, welcome everyone. We are on the first day of Gita Gyan Level 1 program. I know many of you might be working. It's a busy Monday evening, but you've managed to join this call today. So I am very much grateful that you took time to listen to us on the summary of Gita Gyan, which is presented by ISKCON Sheshadripuram Temple based out of Bangalore. Okay. So before we go into the program, our obeisances, we offer obeisances to their Lordship, Jagannath, Baldev, and Subhadramai. These are the deities in our Sheshadripuram temple. Does everyone know who is Jagannath, who's Baldev, and who's Subhadramai in this picture? You can speak, unmute and speak.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Ankita Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. On the right side, we are seeing Krishna.
Yes,
in the
Jagannath.
middle,
Yes.
Devi.
Yes.
And left side, Balaram.
Perfect. So this is Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadramai. So for those who didn't know, a quick introduction. And of course, on the altar, we also have Radha Krishna and Narasimha and Gaurnithai over here, and many good people from our Guru Parampara as well, the Acharyas from our Guru Parampara. So we offer our obeisances to Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadramai, Sudarshanji, Narasimhadev, Radha Shamsundarji, Gaurnitai, and the whole Guru Parampara before we start our program for today. Okay, a few prayers. Request all of you, since it's the first day, some of you may not be familiar with these prayers. So I'll recite. What you can do is on mute, you can repeat after me. Okay, the prayers goes this way. Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyate Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai. Okay. So let's understand a little bit about ISKCON. Does anyone know who's the founder or Acharya of ISKCON? And what does ISKCON stand for? It's on your screen, but if someone can tell it out loud. Lata
Srila
Mataji.
Prabhupada is the founder of ISKCON, Mataji.
Yes. What does ISKCON stand for?
International Society for Krishna Consciousness.
Correct. Does anyone know which year ISKCON was founded?
1966, Mataji.
Correct.
At New York.
In New York. Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
And what was Prabhupada's age when he founded ISKCON? What age was he in 1966?
76.
70. He was 70. Yes. Right? At such a ripe age, he actually went all the way to New York without knowing anybody, just 40 rupees in his pocket. He sailed in a boat called Jaladuta for 36 days and reached New York. Can you imagine that? He's never been outside India before, but he did that. So our obeisances to our His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, for giving us Bhagavad Gita as it is. Why is it called as it is? Because the meaning, the actual translation given and the purpose given in this version of Bhagavad Gita is unmodulated. It is exactly how the our Sanatana Dharma says Bhagavad Gita should be represented. So there's no modulation, no mixing of personal thoughts. It's exactly how it is supposed to be, and it's presented like exactly the same, and hence the word as it is. So if you go to the market today, you'll find very, very many versions of Bhagavad Gita, but we should always be careful on which version you're reading, because many versions of Bhagavad Gita, you might find some kind of personal inputs going in, or, some people might say, I believe it should be so, or I think it should be so. But when you read the purpose from his Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he never says, I believe, or this should be, I imagine it so. He's saying exactly that this is it. This is exactly how it is. So there's no room for any kind of assumption or presumption when you read Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. Okay, and also our prayers to His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, because he's the inspiration for this whole Gita Gyan program to begin with. This goes all the way to the time when COVID was at its high peak in 2020. That's when he motivated, because people visiting the temple had reduced. So he motivated the temple president and the Bangalore devotees here to say, let's start an online program. And that's where we incepted the whole Gita Gyan series. Okay, so our obeisances to His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj as well. Okay, so before we start into Bhagavad Gita, a quick read into this one verse, Gita Mahatmya. Does anyone want to read this verse on your screen? Anyone? You can go ahead and
Can I,
start.
Mataji?
Go,
Yes.
Mataji. Yes.
Gita Shastram idam punyam yah patet prayatah puman Vishnu padam avapnoti bhaya shokadivarjita.
Yes. Lata Mataji, if you can read the translation, please. Okay, anyone wants? Lata Mataji, you ready?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, read the translation.
One second.
Yes.
One who with a regulated mind recites with devotion this Bhagavad Gita scripture, which is the bestower of all virtue, will attain to a holy abode such as Vaikuntha, the residence of Lord Vishnu, which is always free from the mundane qualities based on fear and lamentation. Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Jai. Does anyone know who is the author of Gita Mahatmya?
Shankaracharya.
Adi Shankaracharya is the author. Now, if you look at our scriptures, there are a lot of Gita spoken. We have Rudra Gita, where Lord Shiva spoke to the Prachetas. Then we have Ashtavakra Gita, where the sage Ashtavakra, he spoke to Janaka Maharaj. We have Uddhava Gita, we have Devi Gita, and we have Avaduta Gita. Right? There's many Gitas. But all of these Gitas, the Bhagavad Gita spoken by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, is considered the most glorious. So according to all acharyas, they believe this is the most glorious version of the Gita. And hence, even Adi Shankaracharya composed this Gita Mahatmya to glorify this Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So we should, while we are reading this Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we should remember that this is a timeless wisdom. And it deals with 5 main topics. It talks about Ishvara, nothing else but Krishna. And it's talking about the second topic, which is Jiva. Jiva is us, all the souls who have taken birth in this material world, right? And then there's Prakriti. Prakriti is all the 3 material modes that we constantly deal with. Sattva Guna, Rajaguna, and Tamoguna. So that's Prakriti. And then there's Kala, time. And then there's karma. These are the 5 topics that Gita talks about. This is a standard topic. But this knowledge, however, remains relevant irrespective of which yuga you're listening to. We happen to be in Kali Yuga, right? But even if you're listening to this knowledge in, say, Satya Yuga, it still is relevant. And hence, when you're reading this book, you'll see that Krishna is revealing a lot of secrets. He's revealing a lot of secrets. And those instructions and secrets are even valid even today, right? So if you live a life which is as prescribed by Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and even try to, this verse is telling that we can even reach Vaikuntha. But one might ask, why should I reading is okay, but isn't that enough? Why should I try to understand? Right? They might be, isn't it enough that I'm reading, I'm saying those words? But the logic is, let's say you are educated in a very prestigious university, let's say the Oxford University. Is there a value to that education if you don't apply it? Right? You're no different. A person who's educated in Oxford University versus any local university, there's no difference between those two personalities as if they don't apply the knowledge they are working with, right? Or reading. So similarly, this Gita, Bhagavad Gita that you're reading, it's only valuable as long as you read, understand, and apply. That's the thumb rule of reading Bhagavad Gita, that you read, understand, and apply. So the important part of reading Gita is realizations. What realizations are you going back with, and how are you applying it back to your day-to-day life? And then if all that happens, you're able to successfully apply these readings of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, then you can reach even Vaikuntha. That's what this verse is talking about. Okay, so we'll try to go through one verse of Gita Mahatmya every day for the next 18 days so we can glorify Gita even further. Okay, so with that, let's set the context. Why is the war happening? Right? Is there anyone here who's reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita for the very first time today, has never read it before?
Yes.
It's the first time, okay. Are there any more? You can just raise your hand on chat. I see only 1, 2 Prabhus. Okay, so most of you have read, so you kind of have a sense of what the Srimad Bhagavad Gita is saying. Right. Great. Okay, thank you for that. So I see very few have not ever read, but the good thing about what you're doing today is you're reading or trying to understand Bhagavad Gita, even if you have read it before, from a person who has also understood it from the right source. Okay, so I have learned it from my guru, who is connected to a guru parampara. So we are coming to a line of authority who have understood and are speaking words as spoken to from their guru. So it's an authorized way of learning Bhagavad Gita or any other scriptures for that matter. So before we talk about Gita itself, let's talk about what was the background to this whole war. So we know that Mahabharata, does anyone know which dynasty the Pandavas and the Kurus belong to?
Kuru dynasty.
Kuru dynasty. And who was the father of the Kauravas?
Dhritarashtra.
Dhritarashtra.
Dhritarashtra. And who are the father of Pandavas?
Pandu.
Panduraja.
Pandu.
Pandu Maharaj.
Yes. So Dhritarashtra had about 100 sons and a daughter, right? And Pandu has 5 children, who are called as Pandavas. Now, the context is because Dhritarashtra was born blind, though he's the elder between Dhritarashtra, between Pandu and himself, because he was born blind, he was not allowed to be the king. Instead, Pandu Maharaj was set up on the throne as a king. But Pandu had an early death. So what happened is his 5 sons, born out of Kunti and Madri, they were kept in the protection of Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra became the temporary king till these 5 children grew. And in time, it was understood that Pandavas will take over the throne. But these 2 set of children, one from Dhritarashtra and Pandava, they grew in the same palace, same luxuries, same education, everything was same. But it was as they were growing, it became very evident that while Pandavas were very pious in their mannerism, Kauravas were behaving very impiously. There were many attempts made on the life of Pandavas to kill them, to trouble them. It's famously known that that there was an attempt to kill Bhima by dropping him inside a lake, right? So there was attempts to kill the Pandavas many ways this way. So Dhritarashtra's children were growing increasingly envious of the Pandavas, right? And they no longer wanted the Pandavas to be the next king. They rather wanted to have the whole kingdom to themselves. Now they tricked the Pandavas into a game of dice, right? And that's where the whole episode of Draupadi Vastraharana also happened. I request everyone to be on mute. So there was an attempt. So after the Yudhishthira and his brothers, they lost all their kingdom. There was an attempt to do Draupadi Vastraharana as well, right? And in that process, Draupadi is begging with all the with her husbands. She's begging from the kings. She's asking all the elders in the court to save her. And even she's trying to hold on to her sari, but ultimately she prayed to Krishna. She gave up all sense of trying to protect herself. She prayed to Krishna, and Krishna at that point blessed her with so much material sari that Dushasana, who was trying to pull her sari, was tired, and he gave up. And finally, Kauravas said, okay, this is all, we'll stop now. But because they still pleaded that because Pandavas had lost the dice match, they should still go to Vanavasa for 12 years and live incognito for 1 year, which was all agreed on. The Pandavas went to the forest, but after the 13 years, when they came back, the Kauravas were still not willing to give them any part of the kingdom. Pandavas said, no, we don't want the kingdom. Just give us 5 villages, maybe. We are Kshatriyas. The duty of a Kshatriya is to administrate. So we'll be absolutely of no use if you're not able to do our duties as a Kshatriya. So just give us 5 villages. But Kauravas didn't listen to this as well. So it was agreed ultimately that there will be a war, and it will be fought in Kurukshetra. Okay, so this was the pretext of the war. But we should also remember that right before the war, Duryodhana and Arjuna went and met Krishna because each wanted something from Krishna. Krishna was sleeping. So when he woke up, he saw Arjuna is standing at his feet, humbly bending and waiting for him to wake up. And Duryodhana is standing somewhere near the head of the bed. And because he saw Arjuna first, he asked Arjuna, Arjuna, please tell me, what do you want? And because Arjuna is also the younger one, he was given the privilege of asking what he wants first. So Arjuna said, I want you to fight with me in the war. But Krishna says, no, because I'm the Supreme Lord, I can't fight. It may not be fair. So I'll not fight, right? So you can have me, and one of you can have my Narayani Sena. Now, this Narayani Sena is very famous. There was not a single war they have lost so far. And they helped set up the whole Yadava dynasty across most of India. So they're very famous, and they were filled with Maharathis and Athirathis in this Sena, right? So having said that, Arjuna still says, I want you. Though you're not fighting, I want you in my side. And hearing this, Duryodhana is very happy. He said, in that case, I'll take the Narayani Sena, right? Anyway, that was what he wanted. So ultimately, Duryodhana got the Narayani Sena, the very powerful Narayani Sena, and Arjuna gets Krishna. Now, look at this from a material scenario. Who do you think really won? Who got the better deal between Duryodhana and Arjuna?
Arjuna Mataji.
Arjuna Mataji.
Okay, you're talking very spiritually, but think from a materialistic point. I mean, Krishna is not even fighting.
The Narayani
Krishna,
Sena is
Duryodhana
more
got a
powerful,
materialistic this thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because anybody in his place would have chosen when he does not consider Krishna as the supreme god.
Yes.
It is but natural that you will choose the army,
yes.
a bigger
So
army.
materially, if you look, that's right, Sumantra Mataji.
Thank you.
So if you look from a materialistic point, ultimately looks like Duryodhana got a better deal. And Arjuna is, just happy with whatever he got. But if you remember how the war worked out, Duryodhana lost He had the best Narayani Sena, but he lost. So Duryodhana, in other words, is representing people who are after material success. But ultimately, they don't win, they lose. What do they lose? Because Arjuna, though he did not have a strong army, he had just Krishna, he ultimately won because he's won in this that in the fact that he's not going to go through the cycle of repeated life and death. He's got a better deal in that sense. So ultimately, the winner is Arjuna. But in this sense, because Duryodhana wanted a stronger army which has never failed, he thinks he's got a better deal. But we'll find out otherwise. Okay, so this is the pretext of the whole war so far. Now let's go to the first chapter. What is the name of the first chapter? You can see it on your screen. Say it loudly.
Yoga. Arjuna Vishada Yoga.
Yes, that's a Kanda, but observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. That's the name of the first chapter. Okay, so let's go to this war field now. Okay, so imagine two armies sitting on either side, right? Either side. Kaurava army is said to have 11 akshaunis worth of people. 11 akshani net will turn about 24 lakh. This 24 lakh includes horses, foot soldiers, elephants, chariots, all of that, 24 lakhs people. That's Kaurava Sena, 11 akshani. And then there is Pandavas who have 7 akshani. And this Kaurava Sena, 11 akshani, also includes Narayana Sena. So if you look at it, Pandavas have lesser army. So net there's about 40 lakh people on either side on Kurukshetra. So you can imagine how vast this land is. And the two sides are separated by a big space in between. So Kaurava army, which includes the Narayani Sena, is one side, and there's Pandava Sena on the other side. Okay, Pandava Sena, 7 akshaunis is about 15 lakh overall, net, including the foot soldiers, horses, elephants, and chariots. Okay, so that's the scene. Let's set up the scene now. Who is speaking Bhagavad Gita? Who was it spoken by?
Lord Krishna.
Yes, Lord Krishna. And who did he speak to?
Arjuna.
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 When was this spoken?
During the Kurukshetra war.
How many years back?
Kurukshetra war. 5,000 years ago.
5,000 years back.
Yes. Yeah, where you already answered, in the Kurukshetra. Okay. Does anyone know how many verses are there in the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita? How many verses?
700 Mataji.
700 Mataji.
Right. And the whole 700 verses are spoken by only 4 personalities: Dhritarashtra, Sanjaya, Arjuna, and Krishna. Okay, nobody else had any business talking in while the Bhagavad Gita was narrated. Does anyone know how many verses were spoken specifically by Dhritarashtra?
One Mataji.
One
Yes.
verse Mataji.
Yes. I'll skip the other numbers. I'll give you the answers directly. So Dhritarashtra just spoke one verse at the beginning of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And then Sanjaya spoke about 41. Okay, Arjuna 84. And the rest, everything, major part of it is coming directly from Krishna. The Supreme Godhead is talking this knowledge to us directly, right? All of the other answers, you got it right. Okay, so let's start with the first verse 1.1 of Bhagavad Gita. Does anyone want to try this verse? You
Yes,
can read
Mataji.
both the verse and the translation.
I will tell. Dharmakshetra.
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामका पाण्डवश्चैव किमकुर्वत Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembling in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do?
What did they do? Thank you, Mataji. So here's Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya. So Dhritarashtra is sitting in Hastinapura, which was somewhere in the Delhi region. And I'll request everyone to put yourself on mute if you're not talking. So Hastinapura is where Dhritarashtra is sitting, and then he's asking Sanjaya, tell me what's going on in the battlefield. Now remember, Sanjaya was fighting in the battlefield till the 10th day, till the day Bhishma Pitamaha fell down. He was on the battlefield. But after the 10th day, he was called back to Hastinapura, right? And by the blessings of his spiritual master, Vyasadeva, he's given a divine vision at this point, and he's told by his guru Vyasadeva that narrate everything that's happening already happened in the battlefield to Dhritarashtra, because Dhritarashtra is not able to go. He's still in Hastinapura, and he's getting a live update on what is going on the Kurukshetra war from Sanjaya, because of Sanjaya got a special divine vision from his spiritual master. Okay, so Dhritarashtra is asking, Kurukshetra is a holy place, right? It's a place of pilgrimage. So it's a holy place. So where is Kurukshetra? It's somewhere near Haryana. Okay, but also this place, why is it called a holy place or a place of pilgrimage? Because thousands of years it was a hub where Vedic civilization was spunning, it was growing, right? And it's also the place where Krishna is spoken Bhagavad Gita, so that vibrations of the Gita is already there. Okay, and many scriptures, including the Upanishads, Mahabharata, refer to this as a holy place. But most of all, Parashurama, the time when he appeared and he killed many of the kings, he went around the world and killed the Kshatriyas 21 times. And the blood from all this killing, he pooled them in Kurukshetra, and there he did many holy yagnas to purify that place. And thereon, this place becomes holy. Now, so the two armies are now assembled in that such a holy place. So naturally, Dhritarashtra is concerned. Dhritarashtra could not, he is spiritually blind. He's got a weak mindset. He's harbored this desire that my sons, Mamakaha, my son should rule over the kingdom, right? So he's a weak-minded man who is getting carried away with his own desires and is trying to please his sons. So he's asking, what has happened to my sons and Mamakaha Putraha, and what about the sons of Pandu? So he's clearly distinguishing the two parties. He's saying my sons and the sons of Pandu. He's not saying my children. He's not unifying them. He's separating them and saying them and us, right? Mamakaha and Pandavas Chaiva. So by this one verse alone, which is the only verse that Dhritarashtra has spoken in the whole Bhagavad Gita, we understand his mindset. And based on this, now Sanjaya is narrating what is happening in the war field. And remember, because this is a summary of the chapter 1, we'll not go through all the verses. I will try to summarize it to you, and I'll give also after the call, towards the last few minutes, I'll give you more details on what after this. Okay. So now Sanjay is explaining how Duryodhana is using his diplomacy to address his army, right? And in the initial few verses, he's addressing Dronacharya. He's explaining all the Maharathis and the warriors in the Pandava side. He's warning Dronacharya, saying, look at your student, Drishtadyumna. Drishtadyumna is the son of Drupada. And Dronacharya, Drupada is a sworn enemy of Dronacharya. But despite knowing that his son was supposed to be killing him, eventually, he still trained Drishtadyumna to be a good warrior. He gave him all the Kshatriya skills he needs to be a good warrior. Now, hence, Duryodhana is reminding Dronacharya that look at your student, he's standing on the other side and he is waging war on you. He's trying to kill you. And he's also looking at all the army, he's comparing. And then he now starts describing his own army, right? He's praising Bhishma, Karna, Ashwatthama. He's praising all of these warriors, and he's saying that Bhishma is very skilled warrior. All you have to do is surround him so he's not affected in the war. And also he's trying to inspire the lower rungs of his army by saying he's very old. Bhishma is very old. You should protect him at all times. So he's trying. He's very scared, Duryodhana, but he's still trying to motivate everyone. He's being very diplomatic in the way he's addressing his army. So with that, okay, now after Duryodhana gave this big inspiring speech, Bhishma Pitamaha can understand that he's internally very scared. So in some way to inspire him, he starts blowing his conch shell. Bhishma Pitamaha starts blowing his conch shell. And also it is Bhishma Pitamaha very well knew that Krishna is a supreme lord, he's on the other side. So the victory is anyway assured for Pandava. But still, because he's the commander-in-chief of the army, he said, okay, I'll do what you're saying. I'll blow the conch, right? He does that. And right after that, on the Kauravas army, they start blowing all those drums, bugles, horns, and there's a tumultuous sound that vibrates because of all these put together. They all blow it together and there's a big loud sound. Now, after these, the Pandavas start blowing their conches, right? And what happens when Pandavas blow their conches is explained here, right, in verse 15. Can someone please read verse 15? I can do it if nobody is game.
Mataji, I can read.
Yes,
Panchajanyam Rishikesho
go ahead.
Devadattam Dhananjaya Poundram Dadmau Mahashankham Bhima Vrakodaraha. Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, the Devadatta, and Bhima, the voracious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Poundra.
Poundra. Thank you, Mataji. So Rishikesha, he's referred to as Rishikesha here. And when you're reading Bhagavad Gita, you'll realize there's such beautiful ways Krishna is referred to, how Arjuna is referred to. And one of the names here, Rishikesha, is repeated quite often. What does Rishikesha mean? Rishikesha.
Lord Shri Krishna.
That's Lord Krishna. But what is the literal translation of the word Rishikesha?
That is the controller of the sense.
Controller of the senses, is the owner of senses, and hence he can control it. So he's called Rishikesha. And Krishna, first of all, he blows his conch shell, which is called Panchajanya. Then Arjuna is referred to as Dhananjaya. See, you can see how beautifully Sanskrit words is put together to refer to bring up a noun. Dhananjaya, winner of wealth. The time when Yudhishthira was doing some sacrifices, Ashwamedha Yaga, he needed a lot of wealth. And at this time, Arjuna went and found a treasure of sorts in the Himalayas and brought that treasure back. And hence is called Dhananjaya over here, right? It's just an adjective to a person that becomes a name on itself. So two words put together becomes a name. So Arjuna, who is also referred as Dhananjaya here, is blowing his Devadatta. Bhima, the voracious eater, Vrakodhara, voracious eater, he is blowing his Poundra. And further after this, the verse 16 also talks about Yudhishthira. He blows his Ananta Vijaya. Nakula blows the Sagosha, Sahadeva Mani Pushpaka. Right? So after this, many kings like Kashi Raja, Shikandi, Dushtadhyumna, Virata, they all one by one, they are blowing their conch shells. Sanjay is now very tactfully, he's explaining that Krishna blew his transcendental conch shell, transcendental, which is also one of the signs that victory is confirmed to Pandavas already. Okay, so that's one of the indication that Pandavas are winning this battle for sure shot. Now that blowing of conch shells it's a symbolic way to say the armies are blowing their conch shell. It's a symbolic way to say we are ready to fight. The war has not started yet, but they're saying we are ready to fight at some point now. Okay, so they're all ready. So at this point, when there's still some time before the war has started, Arjuna is now requesting Krishna, and he says, Krishna, could you please take this chariot to the middle of two armies, right? It's also at this point, if you read at the purpose, there's a mention that Arjuna's chariot had a Kapi Dwaja. Kapi is Hanuman. Okay, so Hanuman is sitting on the chariot. Hanuman, if you remember, helped Lord Rama win the battle against Ravana. So Lord Rama is anyway there on the chariot as Krishna, and Hanuman is also there. And because Krishna is there, his consort, Mother Sita, or the goddess of fortune, is also there on the chariot. So combined with the transcendental conch shell blowing, these are very obvious signs that Pandavas are going to win this battle. But despite all these signs, that now Arjuna is thinking, okay, let me just go in between and just assess the two armies. So he's asking Krishna, please take me there. So Krishna has now brought the chariot in between the two armies and is referring to Arjuna as Guda Kesha. Okay, Guda Kesha means one who has conquered ignorance or sleep. Okay, so he's telling Arjuna, Guda Kesha, now please observe the army. So Krishna is actually telling Arjuna to emerge from any kind of delusion, ignorance he's going through, and then observe the army. Okay, Guda Kesha is reminding him that it's better not to deal with this situation in ignorance. So from there, you will see that Arjuna is now observing both the armies. He's seeing his his grandfather Bhishma, his teachers. He's seeing his uncles, his brothers like Duryodhana, his sons like Lakshmana, and the grandchildren, the friends, the family, seeing all of this on either side. And seeing this side, Arjuna is filled with compassion. So what happens next? What are Arjuna's symptoms of compassion? So he explains that this in verse between 28 and verse 30 in chapter 1. So seeing all his friends and relatives, his fighting spirit, he suddenly feels that his limbs are shivering, his mouth is dry, his hair is standing on end, his gandiva is slipping from his hand, and his mind is reeling with uncontrolled thoughts, right? His skin is burning. These are symptoms of Arjuna. And he's telling Krishna, I only see misfortune by proceeding with this fight. How can I kill my family? So Arjuna is filled with compassion. And we should remember is this is what Arjuna is expressing here, his symptoms. It's not coming from some kind of fear. It's coming from from the place of a pure devotee whose heart is filled with compassion. He can understand that if this war happens, there'll be a lot of consequences. There are a lot of people who will be impacted. So so there's no reason for Arjuna, despite knowing all his symptoms for victory, to be scared. And imagine Arjuna, he has a Gandiva in his hand. Anyone who sees Arjuna with a Gandiva will never even think of facing him. He also fought with Lord Shiva and pleased him, and also got his arrow from Lord Shiva himself, called Pashupata Astra. That's what it's called. So that's a mighty Arjuna, and now he's like this, trembling in the battlefield. So this is not trembling out of fear. This is trembling out of compassion. That's one of the symptoms of a pure devotee of the Lord. So from here, by Krishna's will, you can understand that Arjuna is covered by ignorance. If Arjuna was not covered with this ignorance and was not putting out all these questions, imagine Bhagavad Gita would have never happened for us. So Krishna is actually putting Arjuna in this position, right? He's making a situation where Arjuna is asking these questions. And further, Arjuna is narrating now. He's expressed his symptoms. Now he's telling why he's not going to fight. So these are the 5 reasons Arjuna is giving out. Okay, the first reason is compassion for friends. So he's saying, compassion, how can I kill my grandfather, my teacher? How can I kill them? Right? Um, and the second reason he's saying there's no enjoyment even if there's victory. Right? What do people work for? You and I, we are working in different companies, but ultimately, why do we work? We work so we can keep our family happy, our friends and relatives happy. Ultimately, we work for somebody else, right? So he says, if I actually win this war and get this kingdom, there's nobody around me to enjoy this victory with. So there's no enjoyment, right? And he's also saying fear of sinful reaction. Now, this fear of sinful reaction is a tricky subject because, as per Shastras, there's Artha Shastra, there's Dharma Shastra, and then there's Bhagavad Shastra. So, in Artha Shastra, there are 6 type of aggressors that's mentioned. Anyone who gives another person poison or sets their house on fire, attacks with weapons, plunders riches, occupies another person's land, or kidnaps their wife. These are 6 aggressors. Arthashastra says these 6 aggressors, even if they are killed, there's no sins incurred. But Arjuna is saying better than Arthashastra is Dharma Shastra. Okay, and Dharma Shastra says better that it's better to be pious, forgiving, saintly. So Arjuna is saying it's better for me to not fight, rather give up everything and let these people kill me in the battlefield without any weapons. So that way I'll not have sinful reactions. I'll just give up everything and go on. There's no sinful reactions in that case. So that is third reason. Then he says destruction of family traditions. So imagine this, everyone is dead. So many people fighting wars, so many are dead. There's no sons, there are no caretakers, there are no elders left after the fight. There are many wars getting fought in the world today. Even if you take, if you don't, even if you don't take examples from today, even in the past, World War I, World War II, right? World War II, sometimes US won, sometimes France won, Germany won, but ultimately the ultimate losers or people who were affected were people who were leftovers from the war, women, children, elders who were incapable to fight anymore. So Arjuna's concern here, destruction of family tradition, he's saying if all elders are dead, then who is there left back to tell these people, to educate the younger generation on the different types of ceremonies, like Shraddha ceremony, ceremonies that should be done at childbirth or marriage or, newborns. So who is there to educate them? And if that process does not happen, then if elders are not there to transfer the knowledge of traditional knowledge, then all these traditions die eventually. So if traditions die, irreligion will take over. Irreligion will take over. And if irreligion spend, women who are supposed to be under the care of their husband, children, what will they have to do? They will be exposed to men who will force them to behave in an unchastely manner. This was a common situation in any war that we've seen. Children, men being exposed to things they shouldn't be, right? And from there comes unwanted progeny. And this unwanted progeny will have its own reactions. It'll create hellish situation on earth. It will bring down all the development projects, social improvement projects, and because we are not offering Shraddha to our forefathers, even they'll fall down. So ultimately, there's destruction of family traditions. So these are the 4 reasons he mentions in chapter 1. The 5th reason, indecision, is going to be mentioned in chapter 2. The first few verses of chapter 2, he'll express his indecision as well. Okay, so these 5 reasons: compassion, no enjoyment, sinful reactions, destruction, and indecision, SESTI. We're giving you an acronym, okay, SESTI. But if you, I'll give you a quiz over here or a brain puzzle. Can you jumble up this word, SESTI, to make it a meaningful word?
Dices.
dices, right? The whole Mahabharata started with the game of dice. So dices, right? DICES. So this is going to be a good way for you to remember the 5 reasons given by Arjuna to not fight. Okay, so with that, we come to the end of chapter 5. Let's do a quick recap. So today in chapter 1, we spoke about the important features of Bhagavad Gita, the 5 topics that Bhagavad Gita talks about, and Gita Mahatmya. And then we heard about the conversation between Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya, and how Sanjaya started narrating the happenings in the war, blowing of the different conch shell from either side. Okay, and the chariot in between the two armies and the conversations that followed, Arjuna's symptom on seeing all his relatives and friends, and his 5 reasons, also acronymed as DICES. So these are the 5 reasons that Arjuna gave. So this is where the chapter 1 ends. Okay, tomorrow, so far, Krishna has not spoken. So chapter 2, Krishna will start speaking. Okay, now, before we go, are there any questions on anything that we discussed today? You can put yourself off mute and ask your questions. It's a small chapter and the details are very, so we are able to finish this class quickly. So if there's no questions, I'm just letting you know. So this version of Gita Gyan, which is level 1, we're just giving you a summary. Now, of course, your interest in Gita, if it's further triggered and you want to do a more detailed study of Gita Gyan, we will follow these 18 days with a more detailed study of Gita Gyan, where we go verse by verse of every, all the 700 verses in Gita. Okay, and there'll be a more detailed discussion as such, which runs for about 5 to 6 months, which is called Gita Gyan level 2. Okay, so so for now, just absorb all the summary details. If you can, if you have the time for it, read the purports of each chapter before you join the class, or how much ever you can. Fill your head with questions. So when you fill your head with questions, only then, okay, you will be able to absorb this knowledge and you'll be able to make some meaning out of it. And asking questions is not a new behavior in our Sanatana Dharma, right? Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita because Arjuna was asking questions. Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken because Parikshit Maharaj was asking questions, right? And also Srimad Bhagavatam because this Naimisharanya sages were asking questions. Sutta Goswami responded. So questioning is a good way to learn. Also in Bhagavad Gita, we have a very important verse that says, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Pariprashnena. Only when you ask questions, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita will be revealed. Right? So ask questions. Only then you'll understand any knowledge that you're picking up from these 18-day courses. So if there's no question, just few technical details. So this, as you know, is an 18-day course. You will need to attend minimum of 12 days classes to be certified. Okay, and anyone who's participating in the course, just please make sure that your name on Zoom reflects the name what you want to see in your certificate. Okay, if you want your first name and last name, please update your name on Zoom to reflect your first name and last name so we can capture your details accordingly. Okay, we will also send you a Google form at the end of it, and we'll try to, anyone who's missed, maybe there are people who have 3-4 people attending on one Zoom call, so we'll send out a Zoom details also in future so you can update all those details. So what to, yes.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, see, Bhishma, Mahatma Bhishma knows both Pandavas and Kauravas.
Yes.
And always that Pandavas are on right side and Kauravas are on wrong path from the beginning.
Yes.
Narrated already. But Bhishma ji, knowing all these things, why he is taken part with the Kauravas against
war.
the Pandavas who were in
Yes.
the Kurukshetra, Mataji?
It's a very important question. Why? Because obviously Bhishma is a very elevated personality. He knew that Lord Krishna is is a supreme Lord. So why did he not follow the side of Krishna? Because one is his promise to his father. His father, he promised Bhishma Pitamaha that he will follow, he will never want to be a king. He will serve whoever is the king. He made a pratigna like that, Bhishma pratigna as it's famously called. So to meet his pratigna, to keep his pratigna, he felt that uh, his uh, his responsibility towards his word is more important than Bhagavata Dharma as well. Right? And also because he was living under the protection of Kauravas. He was using all their richness. He was taking payment from them. He's eating their food. So all this considered, his blood has been polluted to some degree, right? Because though he's aware, he's thinking that as per this Manu Dharma, I need to serve this king. There's no other way. Of course, towards the end of the war, when he's sleeping on the bed of arrows, he also says that let this blood flow, because all this while I have served the Kauravas, so my blood is polluted. So let this blood flow, and then only then I'll be eligible to go back serve the Lord. Right?
But his oath was only protect kingdom, not the
Serve the
part of
king.
the Pandavas or Kauravas, Mataji,
Yes,
no?
no, yeah, he's still serving the king because the king is Dhritarashtra now. So he's serving the king's mood.
But somehow I think because of being an elder, you should have been advised
Yes.
in good this thing completely to
Yes, absolutely.
sort out the differences
Yes.
between Pandavas and
But
Kauravas.
remember also that he's playing a role. He's playing a role to show us what happens if we prioritize the lower forms of dharma to Bhagavad Dharma. Right? We should not assume that Bhishma Pitamaha is an ordinary soul like you and me. He knowingly is playing a role which shows him in a bad light. Just like Yudhishthira, he said one small lie, right? He did it because
Right.
Krishna told him. And here, because Bhishma Pitamaha needs to prove to the world that this is what happens. He's showing by example that this is what happens if you're not following higher dharma. If you're doing lower dharma, following the lower dharma, this is what the consequences are. He did it well knowing that this is. So we should understand these characters in that sense, to know that they are playing a role. They are all elevated souls. Most of them are elevated. Kauravas, not so much, but all the Pandavas, they are playing these different roles, but they are all liberated souls who are come down to show us how a human should live, what's the right way of living. And hence they are giving us Gita as well. If Bhishma Pitamaha had not acted this way, we didn't have had Gita, Bhagavad Gita narrated to us. So all these situations around is playing to culminate into a situation where Krishna is now speaking the Bhagavad Gita to us.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. So who wrote, ma'am, Srimad Bhagavad Gita?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Ma'am, who wrote this book, Srimad Bhagavad Gita?
Okay, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, who wrote it? It was rather spoken by Krishna to Arjuna. And who wrote it? Anyone has answer? Who wrote documented Bhagavad Gita?
Vyasa Muni. Vyasa Muni.
Yes. So Vyasadeva documented it. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you, Mataji, for clarification.
Okay, ma'am.
Hare Krishna. So please expect a small quiz. I'm going to send you a quiz link. It's a Google form. So all of you open the quiz link and submit your answers online. And you will, so that's the only activity for today. Tomorrow, again at 7 o'clock, we will meet for the chapter 2. But before we close for today, I request everyone to participate with me in a small round of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay, we will chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra just 7 times today. It's the first day, and it's a very auspicious ending to your journey of understanding Gita. So let's start chanting the Mahamantra just 11 times today. All of you can go on mute. I will be chanting it loudly. You will simply have to follow it as I'm saying it. Okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sorry, can you all put yourself on mute because there's going to be a lot of disturbance on the call if all of us are chanting together. You can chant loudly, and but put yourself on mute and chant along with me. Okay. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai. Mahamantra ki Jai. Thank you for your participation today. I look forward to meeting you all again tomorrow at 7 o'clock sharp.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you,
Thank you so
Mataji.
much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranam to everybody assembled. Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for
Hare
a
Krishna.
wonderful class.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna to all
Hare
devotees assembled here.
Thank you so much, Mataji. It was a wonderful session. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Pranams to you.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much.
Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
And Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you very much. Dandavat pranam.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
pranam.
Thank you, Mataji.
Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Pranam.
Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for the session.
Hare Krishna. I'm closing the call for everyone. Thank you for joining. Dandavat pranam.